On the Fringe with Dan, RadioStyle. Hope everybody out there's having themselves a great day. Have a whole bunch of Q posts to catch up on. Ended off with 39.53 last time. We're going to go ahead and hop into 39.54. Got a fun little one here. Missing 29 connections national, missing 98 connections local. Seems to be a tie-in with the media. Some people that are married, possibly, that are all in the media together. Guessing that there's going to be some people coming up. I didn't dig into a whole bunch on this, especially considering how far behind I am on these. But obviously, one of the big pushes that's been happening over the last few days is certainly this, it seems Trump is truly going to battle against the media right now. I will also say that as much as the regular, quote, mainstream medium that everyone hates, MSN, CNN, all that kind of stuff has been pretty brutal, Fox has been really questionable too lately. And I just want to say to a lot of people, they're definitely kind of part of this whole deep state thing too. There's like supposedly 6 companies, I think 5 now because Disney bought part of that, but there's very few companies that control a lot of the news. So just keep that in mind when it comes to the news. Another post that we got here. Just a great little video that someone did. I'm not going to play the whole thing. It's 2 minutes, but essentially Rocky. But they actually morphed President Trump's face onto the actual Rocky character as he does his jog through the park, and then they play that wonderful song that is infamously Rocky. So a very cool video. Links will be below if you guys want to check that out. So that was post 39.55. Fun times there. All right. 39.56. Disease, cancer cures exist. What if cures already exist? What about the billions, public, private, and government, provided to fund cure dev? Sheep. These people are sick. There's been a lot of discussions about many of these agencies that claim to be trying to help cure this or, donate for this cause and will, help try to find the cure to something. What they found in a lot of these cases, one, the bureaucratic costs are obscene. Like in a lot of cases, like 60, 70, 80% of total donations go to bureaucracy, going to paying salaries, going to all this other stuff rather than actually doing anything else. Plus, a lot of these studies are actually controlled. You've got to look to see who's paying for these studies to understand what's the purpose, what they're trying to uncover, or what they're hoping to hide. You've really got to look to see who's paying. Because trust me, if I'm paying a bunch of money for a study, I'm doing it to make me look better, no matter what, right? So however that can be spun or however that plays out where I look better, a lot of the times that's the point of why some of these studies are going. 39.57. When does NDA expire regarding Drudge R, I should say, sale to foreign entity? Think 2020 election +1. So what, like the day after the election? Removal, blackout, coming of pro POTUS accounts. So they're going to win by any means necessary. But what it sounds like to me is just after this election, it's either A, you won, or B, we don't need this Drudge anymore because what? They can't re-impeach him. They can't go backwards. They can't try to get him out of office. So I guess my assumption is if he somehow wins, they've got to throw up their hands and it's all over. So this very well might be the most important year when it comes to how this whole entire thing plays out out of all of mankind's history, possibly. Now, that's huge. I'm just saying at least written historic history for right now. So winning by any means necessary, super important. Also, all assets will be deployed this election. Everybody's going to be out there. So all the sleepers, all the, quote, pro people right now are going to shift positions to nay. I will say, you're getting a taste of that, too, again, on some of the Fox people, where, one, you had your Chris Wallaces and stuff already that are obviously against Trump, but you're getting others. Ingram seems to be, I feel like the couple that are pretty devout are probably Waters and Hannity. Seems like those two are unshakable. But a lot of the other ones seem like, depending on how things play out, and certainly everything prior to, 3 o'clock Pacific time or 6 o'clock Eastern, it's pretty much kind of a mixed bag, but mostly kind of anti. So it's a lot is going on. So they're calling out Paul Ryan specifically on Fox. So it's going to be interesting how this plays out. All the stops are going to be coming out. So I think a lot of these discussions that people are having, a lot of these posts, a lot of these stories that you Anons are doing and all this work is really going to be paying off over the next few months. Again, I'm just trying to be more of a reporter for a lot of the great information that's being done out there. There's brilliant people that are doing the work. I'm just standing on shoulders right now, frankly. So we get into these next post here, 39.59. There's quite a bit here. Let's see if I can find that actual part of this. Oh, I guess, yeah, there was a... Oh, yeah, I forgot to mention this. This was on this post over here, this disease cures. one of the funny things about this is they're talking about how the Lyme disease may be a tie-in with the hydrochloroquine. So interesting how a number of things are kind of coming up, and there seems to be some fear around this particular narcotic or drug to have possibly heals other things. That, again, it seems to be a lot of these replication type diseases where some sort of inflammation or some sort of, it reproduces so quickly, and it seems like this drug seems to slow that down, and for whatever reason, that's obviously going to play a large part in whether something is able to reproduce, create a lot of pus, those kinds of things, which seems to be causing a lot of the congestion and issues inside of people's lungs. Here's some stuff on that breaking news with the Drudge Report. So it did seem like there's some sales going on. Did a little digging. It's nothing jumped out. BuzzFeed had some stuff, but yeah, a lot of people are questioning what's going on with this particular individual. So here's this other piece that I was trying to pull up because it's quicker or easier to read. Wuhan Institute of Virology geolocation. So a lot of people are really, really talking about what's going on. I want to kind of go just sort of on record and say that I think it's interesting that, China's pointing the fingers at us and we're pointing the finger at China. I obviously think the deep states played a part in this. I mean, this virus looked to be having some engineered vectors in it. There's some odd stuff in it that made it seem like there's a possibility that there was a man-made component to it. That being said, 3 of the main laboratories that were being called out was supposedly one in the U.S., one in Canada, and then the Wuhan supposedly kind of put it together in China. I feel like there's maybe one other that's leaving my mind right now, but there's a number of places, laboratories, that maybe played a part in this. So again, there seems to be a lot of finger pointing. I get from the standpoint of our country and not necessarily wanting to point the fingers at ourselves or for us to say, hey, the U.S. did this. Again, I think similar to like China, I think the deep state is involved and really it happened in this country, much like it happened in our country, much like parts of it happened in Canada. I oftentimes wonder who is, controlling that situation, or who's the one that basically is controlling one of the assets, one of the scientists that is doing the work. So that all being said, a lot of studying going into this. The strategic scientist that supposedly found this back in 2011. So there was some talks about that. Harvard and them coming out here. They were basically talking about, this seems to be organized that goes back quite a ways, but really once everything started ramping up with the president's success, the way people were seeing and liking him, they were really trying to put an end to that. And then on top of all that, we've got issues with Biden. Biden's a mess. I mean, the poor guy can't even carry out a full sentence without somehow tripping over his own tongue. And then, the fact that he can't talk to other people in person. I mean, just there's a whole mess of things going on there. China-U.S. trade negotiations, I'm kind of wondering about some of the money. I think a lot of people are. They said there's been promises that we're getting these billions of dollars. I'm pretty sure that's probably not happening right now. And Trump's kind of already said, hey, even if it doesn't, we're going to be okay. And I believe that. But I do think there's a lot of things that are not really happening the way that initially were planned. And I really do think, I was wrong about the presidential seal thing I said the other day, but there seems to be a transition. There really does. We're doing something. The economy's changing. We're going into more of a trade base. We're making totally different trade rules. A whole lot of different stuff is going on. So something major is happening with the economy, without a doubt. Not just collapsing it, but I think even larger than that. Again, the Fed brought in to the Treasury. That's huge. That's just huge in and of itself. So a lot of good stuff going on. Push to the D's for the wish list. So they're trying to get their bill because they're running out of money and all sorts of stuff. So again, they got a lot of things going on right now. So it's like, what is the mathematical probability this occurs? The time bomb explodes at the exact point in time that allows for maximum damage above prior to the presidential election. Again, they're talking about when the actual virus really got going. I mean, you look when the impeachment was filed, like all of these things happen just right at this weirdly perfect time. Again, for people that are trying to play what are the odds? This is just coincidence, blah, blah, blah. You start getting into some really hard numbers to back up. This is way not coincidence. This is starting to look anyway. It's starting to look anyway to be a little more intelligently planned. The MSM, the Democratic Party, the higher ranks of it, I don't blame just regular people. Hollywood narratives, all this stuff is failing. The coup failed, which again was the whole trying to take the president out. Didn't work. Democratic Party leading nominee established a Super T prior to lockdown takeover. Sanders, Biden, all this stuff. Occam's razor, right? Which they always talk about the simplest explanation is usually the right one with Occam's razor. So it simply states that any of the given set of explanations for an event occurring, the simplest one is most likely the correct one. Again, it's kind of like the obvious thing. Makes the most sense, but for so many people, that's the hardest thing to believe. A couple extra little posts in here. Some leaks destroy the MSM narrative. Who benefits the most? So one of the leaks here, the U.S. has sounded the alarm on the Wuhan lab. So I don't know if you guys have seen this. And again, it's Fox, and it's just coming back up on the news, but they're really trying to portray the Chinese for being directly responsible for at least not being forthcoming, but certainly actually now engineering the virus, that it likely came from that Wuhan facility, which was supposedly the only level 4 facility anywhere around that, or possibly in the entire country. Again, hard to get correct facts, but very specific, a little factoid that this happens to be the city where that's occurring. And then you've got that whole 5G connection, which I just don't even know where to go with all that. But there's, I think, possibly something there. State Department FOIA office is shut down, so this is another convenience as to what's going on right now. Can't look up all these documents to try to prove things, not prove things. A lot of very interesting stuff has been shut down, kind of a way to put the brakes on a machine that was beginning to move too fast for the deep state to keep up with. So that was that second little guy in there. So again, when all of this stuff starts coming out, who's going to benefit the most? And again, I think the media, and just that little thing that Trump did a couple nights ago, it was quite a trip, how he just played all these little snippets of different videos of him doing stuff and where things were, and then what the mainstream or others, Biden and all sorts of people would say about him. And again, he's just... They get mad at him for he's not able to help and save people, and then he gets out there and walks on water, and they talk about how he's just showing off. Like, he just can't do anything right. The poor guy can't win to save his soul. I do think he's trying to do good by the government. I think he cares about the people of this country. I do think he cares about himself, too. People say that, and they're like, he's just out for himself. I think he is, but no, I think he's truly a patriot. I think they approached him and said, hey, do you want to do something amazing for God and country? And he's like, yeah, sure, what the heck? It's going to cost me billions of dollars in work. He's not taking any salary while he's working, so everyone's like, oh, he's doing it for the money. It's like, I think he's trying to do everything he can to show that it's not the case. So, whatever the case is. All right, harvesting. So this is the big thing they're trying to push right now, right, for voting. They want to make sure that everybody can harvest the votes. So, They're, I guess, a little bit of a lawsuit, ex-Clinton lawyers threatening to sue Nevada unless ballot harvesting is permitted. Now, I had to look up ballot harvesting, so I wasn't 100% sure what it was, and if you already know it, sorry, but for those of you who don't, it's basically the practice of having an individual collect a whole bunch of ballots and then taking them to the polling station. And so you're trusting one individual to take many, many, many votes. And that's kind of problematic, right? Because a lot of things could happen. Not saying they do, but they could, probably, often. And then it's funny is they even kind of came out, the mainstream media came out, and they're like, well, typically it benefits Republicans. And first off, I doubt it. And second off, that's all you got. I say, hey, if it's benefiting anybody, let's not do it. That's called cheating. Cheating's not okay. That's one of the things that many of us, true patriots, want to see stopping. I want to see the right person get elected, the person that got all the right proper votes elected. I don't want to see this cheating crap. And even if the other side wins, but they won by the correct way, then cool. That's who should be president. But this nonsense and the way things are now and trying to change all the rules and break all the rules, no, it's not okay. Never, never, never. This guy right here is, I think I pulled him up over here. So this was a post from Dan Scavino, a very popular guy out there. My next piece is called Nothing Can Stop What's Coming. I wonder if he can play the violin. It's very, he's got the little neat little dishcloth on there. It's so funny. It's like the white one. It's a napkin. I don't know. It doesn't look very fancy, though. I'll tell you that much. It's probably a Stradivari or whatever the heck that famous violin is. Anywho, very funny point that they are making, obviously. So right here, win by any means necessary. All seats will be deployed this election. So we're talking about this Voter action here. Virginia governor signs legislation dropping voter restrictions. I think we can do this one. 36 seconds.
Virginia Governor Ralph Northam, a Democrat.
Yeah, that's right, because I don't have my sound set up right. But he's basically said he's no longer going to require voters to show their photo ID. So the Virginia governor is trying to already take steps towards making it extremely easy for anybody to vote. A lot of people have been talking about fake vote, and that's been one of the big concerns for a lot of the patriots, obviously, is can we trust the votes, right? So post 3963, got another great post here about Shiva. Symbolism, an informed, awake public holds all the keys. So one of the things that's very interesting, I don't know if it was this picture, it might have been. There's all sorts of crazy stuff in here. I'm hoping it doesn't show. I don't know why, but there was definitely some pictures in here that were inappropriate, to say the least. But that being said, there was I'm afraid to go looking for them because I'll probably find those. But long story short, they were referencing Shiva. So they were talking about Shiva and who Shiva is, and basically the destroyer. It's a Hindi god. Typically, it's got it's got multiple figures. I think it's actually both, so I'm not really sure how to refer to this deity, but it's both male and female, I guess. I don't fully understand it, but I read up a little bit on it. But one thing that was kind of interesting is they had a picture of the World Health Organization, and in the background they had this really cool little image. This guy was in the background. I had to do a little digging to find this image, but this is actually a Hindi image. This is the exact image that they've got, and that is a statue. And again, he was talking about how the symbolism is going to be their downfall. They keep putting this stuff right in front of everybody, and it is that stuff that is causing many of the problems, to say the very, very least. So yeah, hoping to see that kind of stuff stop. We get up here. Be informed, Boris. Think for yourself. Trust yourself. We got another Fox News. This is a show just of Dr. Oz. Actually, it's kind of funny. A good reason to use the Brave browser, by the way, folks, is it truly did completely block this video and the ability to do it. My ad blocker on this video actually allowed it to work on my Chrome. But that being said, it's just a video of Dr. Oz explaining this testing that's going on in South Dakota, the fact that they're testing this particular component and seeing it work. They're using it in some very interesting ways, and they're, I guess, writing down all these results, sending them off. New York's using them, but anyway, there seems to be a little bit of a conspiracy tied around that. Not 100% sure how that's all going to play out, but long story short is ultimately means people are out there using it and testing it, and that's what we need. That's what they've been talking about, is legitimate studies, and that's basically what he was speaking to, is there's some legitimate studies going on. Up here is another great post. I am same as you, Q, having to go tour. Are we under attack? Always. So again, something major was going on the board here and affecting 8Kun. They've been attacking that board constantly, especially when he starts posting a lot. It freaks them out because they're just always afraid what he's going to actually say. Post 3966. You have to sense the tension building, Q. It's becoming a tinderbox, right? Don't you guys feel that too? Like something's just waiting to explode. Like it feels like something's just right around the corner. So anyways, response, imagine if we weren't here. While difficult, it is important to understand that this must be done by the book. Average people must be able to digest and accept factually events. The FISA lead in Stage 1, Act 1. Bad actors had to be removed. There was no other way to do that. We had to get all these bad people out of the way. They were blocks. They were insurance policies, kind of like Trump was calling the Senate. There was no way they were going to impeach him because they had 52 people in the Senate. There was just no way they were going to get the votes. We had good actors had to be installed, so getting the bad out, getting the good in, right? We had sleepers that had to be uncovered. They didn't know who they were, but they knew they were there, and they knew if they gave them enough rope, they would eventually hang themselves, which they have done in many cases, and some suggest that there's a few more of them that we're waiting on. And again, oftentimes these people, while they're revealing themselves, do a great deal of justice for the bigger picture. So there's something quite fun about letting your enemies kind of run amok when you're watching them as closely as you are, and they don't quite realize it, or they think they're being very smart. Oftentimes they get themselves in much larger trouble. Let's see. We are also ready. Think Barr to the public. This is coming. Barr is getting ready to do some discussions. Don't know when. It's It's part of the storm coming, the indictments, a whole lot is coming. The timing of it is going to be timed out, I am sure, with opening the economy, with a number of things. There are many, many things at play, many cogs, many wheels moving. All these things need to be timed out and basically worked in the proper unison, or it's not going to play out the way it needs to. So just like Q and Q+, put on that armor of God, patriots. Keep praying. In the end, God wins. Where we go one, we go all. These people are pure evil. This is not about politics. You are ready. And folks, we are. We've been given the information. Those of us that are awakening and are awakened and part of this awakening, we're going to have to be the communication. We don't need to be trying to cram this down other people's throats, but we certainly need to make sure to keep holding the discussion, keeping things positive, and really trying, I think, not just so much finger point as much as realizing, hey, here's the information, folks. You know, I'm not trying to say hate this group, never. Hate's not cool. We really need to ultimately all get along with each other, but there are definitely some sinister people that need to be removed, and I really think that's the focus. And I don't know if you guys saw, but there's a cool little cross coming right through the flag there, which is a beautiful picture. All right, finally, folks, getting down to the last couple here, last few, 3968. I suspect there is still a ton of sleepers regarding Paul Ryan et al. And, of course, follows up, do you think it was Paul Ryan's choice to step down? Rising star in the Republican Party? Speaker of the House? Age? Do you think it was Senator Flake's choice to step down? Probably not. A lot of interesting things are starting to happen. And again, they've talked about the CEOs all stepping down, and the timing of it very likely seemed like they knew this end was coming and they were going to take their spoils and run. A lot of them got stuck. Many of them couldn't make it to their bunkers to get away from everybody. And so we've got a whole nother set of dominoes that are going to begin to fall. The trap has been set. These people can't get away from what's coming, and they thought they had this covered and cleared. And gee whiz, it didn't quite work out how they were hoping to. Funny how that happens sometimes. Let's see here if I can open this guy up in a separate tab. Cue the Durham call for witness. Let's check that out here in a second. We are far beyond the needs for proofs. You have more than you know. Durham start, Q op start. 5x5 basically, meaning Roger. Got that. We got this, folks. Oh, where'd it go? I feel like it didn't open. No, that's just horrible. Open link in new tab. Oh, it's way down there. That's why. Okay, so huge via John Solomon. Durham has subpoenaed and called in witnesses before the D.C. grand jury. When did this come out? April 11th. Ooh, nice. So just recently, U.S. Attorney General Bill Barr appointed U.S. Attorney from Connecticut John Durham last May to investigate the origins of Spygate. Award-winning investigator reporter John Solomon told Sean Hannity on Friday's podcast that he knows of a few witnesses who have appeared before a D.C. grand jury. John Solomon told Hannity he believes that Durham's charges will start with Kevin Kleinsmith, the lawyer who fraudulently changed a document to deceive the FISA court. And that was the one that I thought was going to be that one legal one, the bottom one for the FISA abuse. I still think it's that guy. So that's very interesting that I'm maybe going to get to be lucky or be correct in that particular case. So more coming there. A lot of good stuff coming. Again, I feel like the trickle's going to happen, I think, with the information, and then ultimately we're going to get some solid indictments that are going to drop. And I think they're any day. And again, I really do think it's going to sort of coincide with the opening of the government. I think there's a few more loose ends that are kind of showing themselves right now. And some of this is playing out with the governors. I know that Minnesota governor, the lockdown lady, or whatever her name is, boy, she is being, people are hating her right now. So we'll see what happens in that whole ordeal as well. Post 3970. When will our voice and vote matter again? Q. It does now, Patriots, more than ever. Think 2016, think 2020, think of the world awakening. It matters a great deal now, folks. This is the year, if anybody really wants to make a difference, this is the year to make sure you're registered to vote. It doesn't matter what you register as, just make sure you get out there and vote for the appropriate person, or at least not the wrong person. And make sure that we understand that our votes are actually, that's one of the key things that they're trying to safety or make safe right now. So keep that in mind. And then supposedly the 2018 election, they don't really mention it here, but supposedly the 2018 election was the one where they were really able to see all the little places where things were going wrong. And they've been attacking all of those. So a lot of great work has gone on in those regards. And finally, post 3971, and frogs to destroy them. Of course, you've always got to have our frogs. You can't forget our good friend Pepe. Got to love the guy. Got to love him. So a lot going on, folks. There's a lot of things to keep strong about. There's a lot of things to know that are happening in the background. Changes are occurring. The world is transforming. The economy will open again. There will be sunshine again, I assure you. The days will come back to brighter times. The days are getting better. Let's give it some time. Where we go one, we go all. Stay strong, all of you patriots. God bless. Namaste. I love you all. On the Fringe with Dan RadioStyle.